we taking these two, doing the same thing as we did, Abby?
Hold on, Lisa. I'm trying to set this up, okay? Thanks for being patient. I appreciate it.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make you a name tag?
Sure, that'd be great.
You, Abby?
No thanks. I'm good, Lisa. I did it because it was on my face
Oh,
when I was playing, but I can maybe put them up a little.
any crystal?
Don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
hi,
it.
how you doing?
I'm very well.
I'm good.
How you doing? My name is Pastor. Here's your face pack. Yeah, it's a cute sticker.
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Don't have to worry. I like your top.
Oh, thank you. I like yours.
Thank you. And the jean skirt's new.
Is it?
Yeah. Good one.
Very nice.
Were you here Wednesday night?
Yes, it was.
It was good.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
So maybe there's an error, but it's working, so I don't know what the error is. It said to change the bitrate, which I did, but it won't go away. So
What's giving you your YouTube or the?
YouTube. It's saying it's sending data faster than it can receive it. So I turned it down.
Really?
But it's
Really? We 53 subscribers now.
yeah.
Just give that a like.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. No, I was just. Yeah, I put something on Facebook.
Oh, I already did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Morning.
Hi. Morning, Susan.
Hi, Lisa.
Morning.
Is it working? Is it alive?
It is.
Oh. You're welcome. That's one of my favorite ones.
Right, there's crystal.
Oh, yeah, she has one that has the.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
Alright, who's gonna show up at noon?
Somebody who doesn't have a, like, I didn't change any clocks, but my phone is what I use for
Yeah,
time, so it's somebody who doesn't use their phone for time.
yeah.
I didn't.
I mean, I was thinking Manfred, but he's allergic, so he's here.
the center of the sermon.
Yeah, let's start off with that. Got a list. Got a little sticky over there.
Will you,
Hi.
you make the announcement?
Yes, sir.
What's it?
Yay, you're back.
Welcome back. Hello, it's so nice to see you.
It's a good trip.
That's it?
And I learned this works on the beach.
Oh, hallelujah.
That's
awesome.
So if you ever need one.
Isn't it kind of, okay, yeah, it's better.
The feet on it.
Yeah, it's got the spread out.
Hi, Crystal. Hello. How are you?
Sticky hands.
It's good. I'm looking forward to hip replacement. I'm going to have a hip replacement in April 3rd. Okay. So, yeah, soon. How are you? How about you? I'm good. Everybody's good. Nice. Have a host.
I was surprised to see you. Yeah, I was hoping in 2 weeks time.
Oh.
But, good.
So, ready to start? Here. And so I'll introduce you. Did you have a nice, yeah.
Do you have a nice question to do?
Judging.
Pay attention to the contact.
Okay.
The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
The sounding of the hour and lighting of the Christ candle call us to worship, reminding us to steady our hearts and minds as we prepare to encounter God.
song called "A Beauty Ever Ancient." It's in your bulletin, but I thought for prelude I would just play it so we can become familiar with it, so that when we're ready to sing it together, we kind of know the tune. But this is our theme for the beauty in uncertainty.
The Lord be with you. For those of you who came late, I challenge each of us to pay attention at noon. Who's going to arise? Happened to me 30 years plus a year ago. Then I first joined ABC, there was daytime saving. I arrived, and then the people, John remembered people were going out. And then Reverend Bob Hardy was like, "Oh, Manfred, we have your credit now."
Prime time today.
Yeah, today I was on time.
That's why it's limited. Yeah.
Welcome to worship this morning at Arlington Presbyterian Church. My name is Manfred Soulier, your religious this morning. This is Ashley Goff, our pastor, and Abby Martin, our minister of music. We are here online through YouTube, it's no longer Facebook, and in Gilliam Place. Gilliam Place is the 173 unit affordable housing apartment community co-created by ABC and True Ground Housing Partners. Every worship service we say, this is a statement of faith for us. We are also a Moral Presbyterian church. To be a Moral Presbyterian church means we are 100 of DC USA congregations in the US who have taken on the particular identity of being more right, which means we work for the full participation of LGBTQ plus people in church and in society. To say Black Lives Matter and to be Moral Presbyterian Church shape our core values and how we call to live out our faith in big community here in South Arlington and beyond. We also say liturgy is the work of the people. Liturgy means just that in Greek, the work of the people. The prayers we pray, songs we sing, biblical stories we experience, the reflection we will do, the stillness we embrace, the listening we will do, these are for us to do together as the Spirit guides us. In the spirit of creating this liturgy together, that means some of us might need to get up and move without making noise and do something with the liturgy. We have a table there set up. We have a craft material there. Feel free to go around that table at any point to do something crafty, or just sit in a different spot for a change of space. Whether you have been here for decades, or this is your first worship service with us, or you are online, this is our work to do together as equals. As we do every Sunday, we begin our worship service with our acknowledgement of territory and personhood. Both reflect several of our core values: place-based, communal, and justice focus. Let us together say or read our acknowledgement of territory, as printed in the bulletin, or as you have memorized. As we gather at Greenham Place, we sow on the healthy grounds and homelands and the scattered people. We ancestors are currently occupied by their land. The scattered people have used this land since time immemorial and continue to do so in the present. Just as we recognize the importance of honoring the land on which we gather and its significance as serving as a sacred foundation for all who gather have gathered. We turn to the Lord, honoring the space we are in, and giving ourselves and others freedom and release from traditional expectations to be present. In doing so, we are invited to protect our body, mind, and spirit as our needs arise. In this spirit, we give ourselves and others permission to lead as they need to, come as they are able, and participate as they feel called. We ask God to teach us how to care for our own bodies, each other, and our neighbors through ways of worship. May it be so.
Friends, listen. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. So I'm going to sing a line, and then I ask you to repeat it back to me. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour.
Gathered here in the mystery of this hour.
Gathered here in one strong body.
Gathered here in one strong body.
Gathered here in the struggle and the power.
Gathered here in the struggle and the power.
Spirit, draw near.
Spirit, draw near.
Together.
Gathered here in the mystery of this hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Those who dwell in the shelter of infinite light,
Provide wings of infinite love,
lift your voices in praise and praise.
my refuge and my strength. In you alone will I trust.
You deliver us from fear and division.
Your faithfulness is sure, like an arrow set upon the mark.
We will not fear the shadows of night, nor the changes of day.
For you are our loving companion forever.
Let us worship our God together.
Gather here in the mystery of this hour. Gather here in one strong body. Gather here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near this room right here. Gather here in the mystery of this hour. Gather here in the mystery of this body. Gather here in one strong body. Gather in the struggle and the power. Gather here, draw mystery of this hour. Gather here in the mystery of this body. Gather here in one strong body. Gather here, draw struggle and the time. Gather here, draw mystery of this hour. Gather here in the mysteries of this body. Gather here in this one strong body. Gather here, draw struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Our theme this season of Lent is beauty when uncertainty is a sure thing. One of our practices that we come back to this season is personal storytelling. Our own storytelling will help us expand and explore this theme. Our storyteller today is Crystal. And as Crystal tells her story, pay attention to your thoughts. Does someone come to mind as Crystal shares? Is there a place that comes into your head? Are you reminded of an experience? We will honor those as part of our assurance of love. Right now, we get to hear from Crystal.
About 10 years ago, I had surgery to remove a small breast tumor. And this was the first sort of time I had faced a real challenge to being healthy. And so they had told me after the surgery that the next day or the day after, I remember, they would call me and let me know whether the surgery had been successful and whether that would lead to further treatments or not. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm person, those who know me, and I did manage to remain calm until about 8 a.m. on that day. And by 10 o'clock, I was starting to get a little nervous, and by noon, and when I had some lunch, I was really starting to totally panic, which isn't something I had experienced before. But my thoughtful husband got me out of my robe and pajamas and bundled me up and took me to the best possible place for calming me down. We went to the Baltimore Antique and Art Show that they have annually. And he's a collector, and this is representative of my husband Gary. He's a collector of things of Art Deco and Art Moderne, and elements from the 30s and 40s. But somehow wandering through the aisles of that art show and looking at the paintings and the things that had been passed down from generations over generations, and almost 100 years now, really calmed me down and made me think more in terms of the long term. And as Rick Sendell said at the end of Casablanca, the issues and problems of just a few people don't really matter all that much in the scale of long-term infinity. So that's my story, and this is representative of my husband.
As Crystal told her story. We honor Crystal's story in our own thoughts by calling those out.
My grandmother.
Your grandmother.
David.
David.
My best friend Jennifer.
Your best friend Jennifer.
Precious memories.
Precious memories.
Saved by a dandelion.
Saved by a dandelion.
Family histories.
Family histories.
Play it again, Sam.
Play it again, Sam.
Romance.
Romance.
Gifts and messages from the past.
Gifts and messages from the past.
Care.
Care.
Lovely story.
It was a lovely story.
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Changes in our life.
Changes in our lives.
Calm.
Calm.
And also storyteller.
Awesome storyteller.
I should say that when we got home, there was a message on the phone that everything was fine.
Everything was fine. To those phone calls. Well, hear the sound of God's story is told through Crystal being poured out. So friends, love persists, echoing through the generations, carried by loved ones and ancestors. Love calls unyielding and resilient, always waiting for us to open and welcome its endless story. Be assured that you are lovable, loved, and cherished beyond measure. Know that within you lies the infinite love of those who came before you, one of God's beloved ones, and that you are connected to this eternal story. This is the good news of God, that you are claimed, that you are known, and God's story is for you. This is the good news of our life together, and we thank God for that. So we honor, you're up with me, man. We honor how God's love is an endless story by sharing the peace with one another,
May the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you.
Share the peace with one another. You know, and people share peace in different ways. Ourselves closer to experiencing God's Word and what the Spirit is saying to us as a church today. We do so as we do. We get ready in stillness and sound and in song. So let's all just right away just take a breath in and let it go. Take another one in. Let that go. Let's take a third breath in and let that go. So we begin as we do by finding something close by that is still. Could be the Art Deco piece now on the table. Word on your bulletin, a gaze out the window at a windy sign. But something that isn't moving. Something that allows your gaze just to settle. And also pay attention to the points of contact that you have with your chair, your seat. Notice where your hands are. Notice that contact with your legs, your back. Kind of with your gaze, let your gaze be at ease, right? So we don't have to try hard at this. We don't have to win at this. So notice your face, the point in between your eyes, your jaw. And then notice your natural breathing pattern. And today you might notice up front here just where you're breathing. Notice your breath and its pattern in your mouth. You feel more of your breath in your chest. You feel your breath more in your belly. Doesn't matter where you're noticing, you're just paying attention to you. And wherever your kind of breath is, just notice the rise and fall also of your chest. And you're watching as you inhale and your chest rises. As you exhale, your chest lowers. For some, it might help to put your hand on your chest so you can feel that rise. And you can feel the lowering. For some, paying attention to your breath might mean watching kind of with your mind's eye as your breath comes in through the mouth, goes down the throat, goes into the chest, and maybe you feel your breath in your belly. Then you notice as that ending becomes the beginning, with the air coming up through your chest, your throat, and out the mouth. And if your mind hasn't already taken a turn to a thought, it will at some point. Thinking while meditating is completely normal. You want to notice the distractions. So the moment you realize you're lost in a thought, you just can say, that was a thought. For some, it might help to name it. Work, future, past. The moment you're lost in a thought, you just redirect yourself back to your focal point, which is your breath. So I'm going to ring the chime with the hope that the sound of the chime resonates with your ease.
Let me
When the Lord can bless me,
Let me Lord.
let me, Lord.
Let me Lord.
Let me, Lord.
Let me Lord.
Let me,
Lord.
where the Lord can find me.
Let me Lord.
Let me, Lord.
Lord.
Where the Lord can hold me.
Let me Lord.
Let me, Lord.
Where the Lord can bless me.
Where the Lord can bless me.
Let me Lord.
Let me, Lord.
Let me Lord.
Let me, Lord.
Let me Lord.
Let me, Lord.
Let me Lord.
Let me,
Two stories today. The first from Deuteronomy. When you have come into the land that the Lord, this is Moses, when you have come into the land that the Lord your God has given you as an inheritance to possess, and you possess it, and you settle in it, you shall take some of the first of all the fruit on the ground, which you harvest from the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and you shall put it in a basket, and go to the place that the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling place for the Lord's name. You shall go to the priest who is in office at the time, and say to the priest, "Today I declare to the Lord your God that I have come into the land that the Lord swore to our ancestors to give us." When the priest takes the basket from your hand and sets it down before the altar of your God, you shall make this response before the Lord your God. "A wandering Aramean was my ancestor. He went down into Egypt and lived there as an alien, few in number, and there he became a great nation, mighty and populous. When the Egyptians treated us harshly and afflicted us by imposing hard labor on us when they enslaved us, we cried to the Lord, the God of our ancestors. The Lord heard our voice, saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. The Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with a terrifying display of power, and with signs and wonders. And God brought us into this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. So now I bring the first of the fruit of the ground that you, our Lord, have given us. You shall set it down before the Lord your God, and bow down before the Lord your God. Then you, together with the Levites and the aliens who reside among you, you shall celebrate with all the bounty that the Lord your God has given to you and to your house." This is the word of the Lord.
The second story from Luke, the temptation of Jesus. Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness, where for 40 days he was tested by the devil. He ate nothing at all during those days. And when they were over, he was vanished. The devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become a loaf of bread." Jesus answered him, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone." Then the devil led him up and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And the devil said to him again, "To you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been given over to me, and I give it to anyone I please. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours." Jesus answered him, "It is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him. Then the devil led him to Jerusalem and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here. For it is written, he will command his angel concerning you to protect you. And on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Jesus answered him, he said, do not put the Lord your God to the test. When the devil had finished every test, he departed from him until an opportune time. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So imagine this scene. The sun is beginning to rise over the fields, and families move over the long shadows cast as they walk over the fields, gathering the first fruits of the harvest. So I imagine some excitement. All of our hard work is paid off with the harvest. And maybe a little anxiety, because it's just the beginning of the harvest. The gatherers do not know yet how the full harvest will turn out. Will there be enough? Will the rains come as needed? Will the sun appear when needed? Will a plague destroy the crops before the season is over? And yet the community bends down, picks the ripened grain, gathers the first figs, ties together the first stalks, and places them in baskets. These are the best of what the land has given them. Not the leftovers, not the excess, but the very first and finest. And they're bringing them to God, trusting that what they give away will not leave them empty. So now picture the people, these families walking together, holding the baskets. They carry the very first harvest, the first fruits to the altar. They're not just offering crops, they're offering their story. The story of the ancestors who wandered, who were oppressed, enslaved, and delivered into freedom. When they set down those baskets, they recite those words. A wandering Aramean was my father, and they remember where they came from. They remember that this land, this harvest, is not their own doing. It's a gift, and it's an inheritance. And in that offering, even with an uncertain future of what the next harvest will be like, when they share before they have all the answers, there is a beauty that is deeper than certainty. A beauty that holds trust and gratitude in that same basket. We begin the season of Lent with this story and our theme, beauty when uncertainty is a sure thing. We begin with the Israelites offering their first fruits before they know how the harvest will turn out. An act of trust, of beauty, of uncertainty. And we begin with Jesus in the wilderness, face to face with temptation, as the devil tries to convince Jesus that to go it alone is the way to go. That certainty and control and self-reliance are certainly better than trust. But Jesus resists. He refuses to turn stones into bread to grasp at power, to test God. Instead, Jesus chooses to trust in the beauty of dependence and remembrance and faith. The same beauty that we are invited to live into this season. So as I said on Ash Wednesday, this Lent we fix our gaze on beauty, not as a fragile thing, but as a force that pulls together what seems irreconcilable. Not a beauty that turns away from suffering, but one that sits in the ashes and shimmers with hope. A beauty that holds opposites in tension, like grief and joy, despair and resilience, death and life, all at once. And we center beauty this Lent because of the state of things, right? Fire moves of fascism floods our days with this relentless disinformation, fear-mongering, attacks on the truth. And it all tries to numb our thoughts. It tries to numb our thoughts and normalize cruelty. And yet the stories from Deuteronomy and Luke today give us a different vision, a way to stand firm with beauty when uncertainty is certainly a sure thing. So back to Deuteronomy. The practice of first fruits was not about giving an offering of a harvest. It was about the Israelites telling the story about who they are. The act of first fruits was about acting out that story, about how they came to be a liberated people. So when the Israelites bring the first yield of their harvest and lay it on the gifts of the altar, they tell their story. They remember aloud, a wandering Aramean was my father, naming their past, their oppression, and their deliverance. And it's not a personal memory. It's not just a family memory. It's a communal identity. And the acts of bringing first fruits resist forgetting, and a refusal to believe that they've arrived on the land by their own terms and by their own self-made way. So in doing this ritual of first fruits, the Israelites embodied this beauty that holds the past and present together, and a beauty that refuses to forget. So Moses calls the Israelites to step into the story, to take their place among those who have trusted God before them. And this is the kind of beauty that refuses to let the fear of the unknown determine one's actions and even one's future. It's a beauty that says we will give even when we do not know if there will be enough. Which reminds me of Susie's comment when Session was voting on our 2025 budget. Susie said, we don't know what's going to happen this year, so let's be generous. As Jesus stands on the pinnacle of the temple, right, the city landscape below, the devil's voice cuts through that air, tempting Jesus to prove himself and to take control. But woven into Jesus' very being, into his bones, his breath, his lifeblood, is this story of the first fruits. Right? He carries with him this story, this memory, spoken through all those genealogies that we hear in Advent, those who gave before they even had enough, who trusted before they saw all the abundance, who lived with deep uncertainty and still offered what they had. Jesus, too, knows the words by heart. A wandering Aramean was my father. He remembers the Israelites who gathered that first harvest, their feet that walked the land and held that hope of milk and honey. So when the devil tempts, throw yourself down, let God prove God's faithfulness, Jesus doesn't take the bait. He doesn't grasp for that spectacle that we see or the security, because he's inherited a very different way from God. A way of trust instead of control, remembrance instead of self-sufficiency, and sharing instead of grasping. So that beauty that filled the first fruits of those ancestors, those Israelites, that same beauty now steadies Jesus. So we stand in a long line of those who have offered and resisted and remembered. And Crystal gave her witness this morning. So here's another witness. And I might have told this story, but Ben, you are cracking up all the things. I might have told this story before, but like a biblical story, it's worth telling again. So Bob's mom, right, my mother-in-law, our kid's grandmother was Mima. And Mima lived with ovarian cancer for several years before she died. And she had that moment that was different than Crystal's. She had that moment when she was told there was nothing else that could be done. So we got the hospital bed, we put it in the living room of the Glenns home on Lowell Avenue in Alexandria, And Mima lived out her final weeks in the house where she and Peepaw raised their family. About a week before Mima died, her nephew, Bob's cousin Tim, came to visit. A legend in the family. I had never met Tim before, but I'd heard the stories. So we all sat around the living room around Mima, right? Peepaw, Mima and Peepaw. Peepaw, Bob, his two brothers, Ed and John, our 3 kids. And we listened to Tim tell a lot of stories. Most of the stories were pretty cringeworthy, riddled with an abundance of sexist comments. I noticed Peepaw getting increasingly agitated. He was up and down from his chair, walking back and forth from living room to kitchen, checking on the plants. Mima was mostly quiet, her eyes were shut, and we were at the point in Mima's transition where the question, like, is she still breathing, was worth asking. Tim finally left. You're more than yeah. I sat down on Mima's bed and I said, you know, Mima, I noticed a few things about Tim. Trying to be diplomatic while also trying to get a handle on what the hell just happened. And Mima perked up, her eyes wide open, hands in the air, orchestrating the thoughts, and she said, oh, I know what you're going to say. And offered up a scathing critique of her nephew. I know what you're going to say. He never called his wife by her name. He didn't do this. She just went down the litany in my brain. And there was no hesitation in her words, no wavering in her spirit or very fragile body. And I felt like Mima was also telling me what she had said. I am not dead yet. So while living with so much uncertainty about Mima's death, fearful of suffering at the end, she was crystal clear about how she saw things and who she was. Both were deeply embedded in her Catholic faith. So I add this, as our family calls it, the BVM, the Blessed Virgin Mary. That was Mima's. Beauty when uncertainty is a sure thing. We are not self-made. We come from a long line of God's first fruits. And we're shaped by the God who shaped those who came before us. By ancestors, loved ones who followed and lived through all that uncertainty. Who trusted when there was no guarantee. And even gave when it cost them something. So you're going to hear more of these stories throughout Lent. And you too are invited to bring a picture or a symbol of someone who has taught you this beloved type of beauty. And you can place it on the communion table. Jesus, standing on the pinnacle of the temple, faces the temptation to grasp all that power and all that control, to take matters into his own hands. But instead, he chooses to live out the truth of God's story, the same truth that was carried by the Israelites when they offered up those first fruits. On Ash Wednesday, we created this table, and we prayed with candles to symbolize suffering, and a variety of other things like rocks and plastic animals to symbolize beauty. And we're going to carry this way of praying forward today. After we sing, O Beauty Ever Ancient, you're invited to get up and find an object at the counter back there or on the benches back there. Find an object that reminds you of this Lenten beauty, right? When uncertainty is just a sure thing. The object can represent a person, a place, an experience. And on your way back to your chair, pick up a candle. And we'll use both in our prayers for people. Since choice is all over the place, you could pick up just a candle. You could pick up just an object. You could sit in your chair and be in community, in motion. There's some Post-its up there on the little table, and you can write the name of that person that you were reminded of after hearing Crystal's story, and you can put that Post-it on the table. So as I said on Wednesday, as we begin Lent, we already know where these biblical stories are going to take us. To a pinnacle, towards suffering, to the reality of human betrayal. And the world's trying to take us to the same kind of place. Suffering, and to the reality of real human betrayal. And beauty persists. So let's sing. Around us, that's the thing. So you're invited to share like we do in prayers. Come up, offer out loud or silently within, but the candle that names a suffering right now and the object, right? The other thing that names the beauty. What are those? different, some lifelong, some new.
So happy to see this little toy lizard because my mom, who's passed, and I used to hide these from each other. To scare each other. Lock doors. She was a school teacher and truly had a heart for children who were neglected, abused, and loved. And pray for all
For practical jokes.
For the immigrant community, in memory of my husband.
The immigrant community and for your husband who was an immigrant.
For my ex-husband and a member of this church who will be memorialized Saturday. My family comes in from California and Oklahoma. Peace for his widow, Bill.
For your ex-husband, for peace for his widow Zoe and for his remembrance.
For my dear late auntie, Mary. May she rest in peace.
For your Auntie Mary.
For Beth, a kind and loving person.
For Beth, a kind and loving person.
For people all over the world who are so affected by what is happening only a few miles from our doorstep.
For Jennifer, and for those affected all over the world by what's happening just a few miles from our doorstep. So we take a breath in, let it go. We take another breath in, and let it go. And we ring the chime with the hope it resonates with the prayers shared. So as one voice and one body, we share the prayer that Jesus shared with his first followers, and we continue to share today. Our God in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial, and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
Sharing what we have looks like a lot of things. The hand of a friend during a season of sorrow, the words of a poem that witnessed our heartbreak, the presence of a teacher who calms our body. These do not have to be perfect. We extend care to one another. We, hungry, learning as we go, gather our offerings for the work of love in our community. Come, beloveds, community over perfection awaits. We have a quickly box here, as we do every Sunday. One is for meal of 9. That's when you decide to choose one Sunday, you bring food, and then people will join you and eat. No protocol. The other one is rivers and villages. What you see me doing, you don't need a certificate to do that for sure. And then the last one is AFAC. Every Monday, I live in the garage, we gather here to share meals for the community. And you happen to meet people and listen to their stories.
So for the Meals for 9, we have one on March 17th. It's going to be hosted by Nancy and Carla. So this is one of our practices that we started in the fall. We're going to bring it back now to build community together. So St. Patrick's Day with Nancy and Carla here. And then April 13th, Katia, that's Palm Sunday. Katia's going to have a meal after worship. So we basically are riffing this off of New York Avenue Presbyterian and saying why 9 because it kind of sounds, cute, meal for 9. So there's it doesn't seem like too big of a lift for someone to make a meal for 9. So anyway, sign up for one of those. Liz?
Yes, if you would like to join,
May I have your attention, please?
Oh, all right, wow. If you would like to join Susan and me and others on Wednesdays, Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock for some silence and some prayer together via Zoom. You don't have to leave the comfort of your home. We are hoping to center in Lent, and one of the joys of centering prayer together is that in the silence, hopefully, some alleviation of anxiety that we are all experiencing as a people will occur. There was some information in the newsreel about it, and if you're interested in the Zoom link, please see Susan. She will make sure you have her email address, and she will email it to you. So starting this coming Wednesday for the next 6 weeks at 7 o'clock.
7 p.m. Wednesday. If you need a Zoom link, please should contact us.
A couple of things. On Thursday, a couple things that are related to kind of rapid response. On Thursday, the Arlington Hispanic Parents Group of Arlington had a Know Your Rights training with Arlington Police and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office at Washington and Liberty High School. Almost 100 people showed up, which was really great. And we gave 4 gift cards. They wanted to have some fun in this, so they had a raffle. So we gave, out of our rapid response money, we gave 4 $100 gift cards to Giant, along with some bouquets of flowers, some chocolate, and a rainbow stuffed animal. So whatever I could see a Giant. So we gave money to that, and on March 23rd, this is Sunday, from 2 to 4, the Congregational Action Network is going to be here doing a training on Know Your Rights, but also how to show up if we see ICE taking someone, basically. So how to observe that peacefully, non-violently, and responsibly. And so generally, how do you show up in public right now? That's kind of this training on the 23rd from 2 to 4. So took that down. Anybody else?
I'm going to say something. I had a great time. I think it was Monday? Thursday. That's Thursday. This past Thursday. Learning CPR here in Gillian Place, sponsored by Gillian Place, and one of the residents trained us as to how to do the CPR. And, it's more than what I thought it would be, because it's a very intricate, especially when you're dealing with adults as opposed to children and babies. There's different techniques that are needed, and she's very good at showing us the differences, how to hold babies, how to hold people. So I just want to thank Gillian Place for allowing me to get this training, because you guys paid for it. I appreciate that, and I hope nobody chokes or me, but I'm just like,
place.
Certified. Certified.
Thanks for doing that. Good job. That's awesome. Good job.
If you feel moved to financially share with ABC, you can go online, arlingtonpresbyterian.org. On the right side, there's a link there, Give Online. We also accept checks and cash. Please don't take it home. Maybe at the end of the service, I will relate that to the treasurer and always make sure that the money that you guys give is for the mission of this congregation. Know that what you share with APC goes to living out God's vision for us and to create a money story that goes along that vision. What money story is this? We do not give out of shame or guilt. We do not give out of obligation. We do not feel worthy. We do not give to feel worthy. We do not give to will power. And we do not give to buy God's grace. We give out of a desire to participate. We give as a sign of gratitude. We give because we belong to one another. We give to build a more just and equitable world. We give because we love, and that's what love does. Demonstrate. Sometimes the sorrow of the Lord of the world rests heavy and makes it hard to move. Divine tenderness, when us in the direction of care, reveal what is ours to do today. Take our gathered offers and roam the stirring Lord. In Jesus' Christ we pray. Amen. Shall we stand for the closing hymn for the giving of the
Image that we're leaving with today, we call those out.
gratitude.
So,
Gratitude.
gratitude,
Wonderful music.
wonderful music,
Uncertainty.
uncertainty,
Beauty.
hearing,
Beauty.
beauty,
Beauty.
hope,
Memory.
memory,
Inner peace.
inner peace,
Harmony. Harmony.
harmonies,
Friends on earth and friends above.
friends on earth and friends above. We go from this place surrounded by all those things, surrounded by the God of heaven and earth, whom death could not contain, who lives to heal and disrupt our lives, and blesses all of us with the power to go forth and proclaim this beauty of God. And that's what each and all of us shall do. Amen.
Amen.
I did it. I can do it from my iPad.